Hi everybody, it is April and I'm in my craft room, and today we're going to make a tote. The holidays are quickly coming upon us, and if you are like me, being a crafter, I love to give handmade gifts. Hi everybody, it is April and I am here for the holiday season, and it doesn't even have to be the holiday season. But as you can see, I have on my Christmas sweater. I do not consider this ugly. I think this is quite fashionable. I plan on showing you projects that you can make either for yourself or for your gift-giving needs. These should be quick projects, or you can make them take as long as you like. Show you little pitfalls that you don't want to fall into. And the first one is tote making. We are going to go from the easiest tote that really doesn't have quilting to a little more complex tote that has quilting, but you're not going to do it, to the little bit more complex tote where you do some quilting. The general idea is the same for all the totes. You just make them a little more complicated and a little more complicated as you see fit. I picked this tote up many years ago, and I just filled it with all the things that I wanted to use for this video. So let's see what fun stuff I have in here. The first thing I have is polypropylene webbing. You can get cotton webbing, you can get nylon webbing, you can get polypropylene webbing, and you don't even have to get webbing. I just thought that having this for my straps would make it a little easier. Our first project takes 2 placemats of your choice. I happen to have the Pioneer Woman placemat that I spotted at Walmart that I thought would be a beautiful little tote. It's got this cute little flower on here. It's got the red check inside. So that's our first project. As far as I'm concerned, this is the easiest. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with doing it this way. We all are very busy, and you know, I would love to have a tote that looked like this. What we're going to do is we're going to put right sides together. So first you have to figure out which side you want on the inside and which side you want on the outside. I want my pretty flowers on the outside, so I'm going to put these 2 together. These placemats are not even. It's like I'm sewing something that, you know, I made, sewing it together. I want to make sure that one long side is even. Everything else I can take care of when I stitch it. I want to sew a line here, a line here, and a line here. And just like that, and you have this. You may want to leave this flat. If you do, I suggest cutting the corners so that it's easier to turn. Don't clip your corner, you know, your stitch. Don't get too close to your stitch. So you can turn it right side out. You can leave this flat, and I would push the corners out more if I were planning on doing that. And also, look how cute, if you just put this little cuff, you can see the inside on the outside. But I'm getting ahead of myself. So I'm going to pull this back inside out. That's right. Because there's something that I want to do. I would like for my bag to be able to sit flat, like this bag. So if you set it up there, although it's pretty flimsy, it won't really sit flat, but it has a flat bottom. And that's the whole point. I'm going to take my little ruler, and I am going to cut a 2 by 2 chunk out of the bottom of my bag. So it's not going to have a huge bottom, and this isn't a very deep bag. So that should be okay. Then I will do that to the other side. So what I have done putting right sides together, sewing the 3 edges, and cutting out corners is the basis for every single tote that I'm going to make in this video. Now what you do with this fancy little corner is you put the edges together, you separate the seams. You can cut them if you want, make them a little smaller. I think I'm just gonna leave them. And you sew a seam along this edge. You can clip it. And you do both sides. So you see it's like this or this, and you just pull it apart so that your seams touch and your edges line up. So essentially you should be able to do this with your bag. You're going to sew this side, and then you're going to sew this side. And you're going to back tack quite a bit. I would not just leave this with one seam. I think I'm even going to do a zigzag stitch because this is going to take some wear. I totally cheated. I used my serger. It's kind of a zigzag stitch, right? Now I'm going to turn it right side out, and it stands up. So I have unrolled my webbing, polypropylene, put this in here, and I used little clips just to see if this was how I wanted it, and I think it is. Oh, I just had a really bright idea. I do like this folded over, and I'm going to try something because you know I love experiments. I think that I could cut a little hole where I want these to go, and then you would never even see the strap on the inside. So I'm going to mark right here where I want to cut my hole. I'm going to fold this way like that. I'm going to use a very sharp pair of scissors and try not to cut my finger. And I have a little hole just like that. I've got 4 holes in my bag. You do not have to do all this. You can just sew your straps on. I just, you know, had a wild hair. I'm taking a lighter and just melting the end. A little bit more on that one than I should have, so that it doesn't fray. And it doesn't take much to melt it, so don't go crazy like I just did. This one, I melted it a little bit, and no one's gonna see it. But this one looks much prettier, and I just touched it with the heat. This was supposed to be the easy one. I want to put the strap through the little hole. I don't want it to go any further past this, so I can sew it right up here, and it will look seamless. If you look, you can see where I zigzag stitched. And then on the inside, just make sure that the zigzag covered the inside. Your little tote has a bottom. You could always put a piece of cardboard and cover it with fabric in the bottom if you want to make sure that it stands. And I am ready to go out and find something fun to put in my tote. Next up, might even be easier than first up. You can find pre-quilted fabric. I like big bags. I like big blocks, and I like big bags. Another beautiful thing about pre-quilted fabric is it's two-sided. This one happens to be a different pattern on the inside, which even makes it more fun. I found some fabric that coordinates, and I'm going to put that. Well, I don't really know what I'm going to do with that. I lied, I really know what I'm going to do with it. The edge of this fabric isn't very pretty. I'm going to close the bottom, so that won't be an issue. But the top will still be exposed. So I want to kind of create a cuff so that when you look inside the bag at the top, you'll see that pretty cuff. And I'm going to do this kind of like you would do with binding. I've got this piece that I want to sew on the top edge of this piece. I have straps. I have ready-made straps that a friend of mine bought for me. They were on clearance. So I'm going to use D-rings and put those here and then attach them. Ha! So this is supposed to be really simple. And honestly, all you have to do is, those are my favorite words, all you have to do is, so I can put my polypropylene webbing on the D-ring and I can stitch it in the seam. And then this little clasp will hold the handles. So I'll take this red strap and I'll put it through the little hole. Red is the closest I could match. I'm going to pull this pin out and put this where the pin is. And it's going to get really thick. I'm going to do the same thing in all 4 spots. Okay, I'm going to pull it over more. And then I'm just going to sew this. And now we're going to cut the 2 inches, just like we did on the other. And you should be able to bend this in the middle and match so it looks like that, so you know that you're really close on that. So this bag is turned inside out. It is not without seams or edges showing inside. I have this awesome tote. A video from April's Craft Room would not be a video from April's Craft Room if it didn't include a panel. I have had this panel for years. It is by City Dreams by KGT Karen Gillis Taylor for Clothworks. The first time I saw this panel, I thought tote. It's actually a panel with 2 scenes on it. Aren't those cool? And it yelled tote to me. What I have done is I have fusible batting, and I have fused that to the back of this panel. I've left this for the bottom of the purse. And I don't intend on cutting this. I know there's a dotted line, but I'm not going to cut it. That's going to be the side of my, I keep saying purse and I mean tote. So what you do with the fusible batting, let me show you. You are going to take your iron and essentially you are going to hold it down. So right now, see how it pulls back? You are going to hold it down and melt the glue. This is where the quilting comes in. I'm going to straight line quilt, and actually I'm not even going to straight line. I'm going to curvy line, just a small wave, quilt this piece of panel. Let me show you how. So what I'm going to do is just go long ways and do a simple wavy line. I have free motion quilted the panel. Now I need a lining, and it's almost like you're going to be making two separate bags. I have chosen this fabric from Keepsake Calico. It just seemed to match very nicely. I've cut it down to be approximately the same size as my panel. What I'm going to do is I'm going to fold both of these in half, and I am going to sew them together. Here is the lining. It is also inside out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to close the bottom of my tote that is the outside, and I'm going to semi-close the bottom of my tote that is the lining. I want to leave a hole so that I can pull the tote through the lining. You'll see what I mean. I told you the inside not totally closed. Now what we are going to do is we are going to cut our straps, and we're going to cut the squares out of the bottom of the totes. Now we are going to turn our bag, just the tote bag, not the lining, right side out. And then we need to cut our straps. Now what we want to do is we want to measure and place our straps before we sew the top. I'm going to put my bag inside my lining, maybe. I'm going to line up the stitched edge with the dotted line that makes up the center of my one side, and I'm going to clip it, and then I'm going to clip the other edges and clip. Now I'm ready to sew. Just making sure I do have that hole in the bottom of my bag. Come here, I'm going to unclip. Make sure everything is lined up. Now I'm going to back up. You should not see the handles. The handles should be inside, in between, not where I have them. So I'm going to fix that. I should know this. Let's see if my evil plan worked. So through this hole in the bottom of my lining, I am going to pull out my bag. I believe my evil plan did work. I am going to put the lining back in the bag, and then I need to top stitch around the top to further secure and just make it even, just like I did on one of the other bags. But as you can see, my straps ended up where they were supposed to be, and I have a cute bag. I'm a bit of a hoarder. You might be too. You could take cardboard and cut it to the size that you need, and then put that in the bottom of your bag so that there is some stability in the bottom of your bag. And you can also cover it with a coordinating fabric, and then you'll never even see that it's there. Thank you for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this tutorial. I know I gave you multiple options. There are so many more options. You can put pockets on the outside of the bag. You can put pockets on the inside of the bag. There are just all kinds of things that you can do. You can make bags quickly with placemats. You can spend a little bit more time and use a panel. You can use any kind of stabilizer or batting that you want to use. You can make it lined, you can make it unlined. The options are endless. Have a great day, eat some chocolate, and be kind to everyone. Until next time, bye. The holidays are quickly, and I picked this tote up many, sorry. I don't have nylon webbing. Let's start this over. The first thing I have is oh my gosh, I want to say PR. Take 50. Now you may just want to leave it flat. For you Peanut fans, Peanut has joined me. She discovered this pillow in my piles on my desk, and she has adopted it as her own. And then I'll do that to the same side. No, I won't. Cute.